Well, hey everybody, for this week's installment of What is this redneck getting into now, what I want to show you is I'm going to try to make a double-walled stovepipe. So at the maple shack here, I've got a few cases where I can't put stovepipe far enough away from a combustible material, and so one of the ways to decrease the distance from a combustible material is to use double-walled stovepipe, but that stuff is very expensive if you go to buy it already built. So I have an idea. It may work, it may not, but I'm going to give it a shot. So I have a 6-inch stovepipe, 8-inch stovepipe. I have some 26 gauge sheet steel that I've had laying around, and I'm going to try to use the sheet steel as a tab, where I actually put the 6-inch pipe inside the 8-inch pipe and keep a gap around the primary pipe. So my maple evaporator has a 6-inch stovepipe on it. The 8-inch would give it the air gap so that it doesn't burn the sugar shack down. So it may work, it may not, but I'm going to try. I don't like to use the word cheap because that implies it's not well done, but I am fairly frugal, so we're going to call this the inexpensive double-walled stovepipe. So job one was to unroll the 8-inch pipe, and I made these marks every 6 inches, understanding that when you roll it back up, these edges will go into a tube like the 6-inch one here. So I started about 3 inches off the edge. You can see if you see where I made my X's, I started my mark 6 inches off the edge, and then I wound up with would have needed to put a tab right on the seam, which would not work. So not afraid to show you my mistakes, but there, I'm glad I caught that one in time. So now what we'll do is we will drill, probably going to have 2 tabs per line, so there'll be a tab a couple inches in from the top and a couple inches up from the bottom, two holes per line. So now we've got the stovepipe drilled, and we have this 26 gauge. It's called 26 gauge sheet metal, galvanized finish. So I picked this up from the Habitat for Humanity Restore. What I'm thinking is take a 1-inch strip and mark it here. Did you know your square is 1 inch? So marked a 1-inch line, and we'll cut that now. And if my plan's right, I should be able to cut this in half then and have 2 tabs out of 1-inch strip. So I'll get to making those. So there are the 8 tabs, 1 inch wide. So those will get bent in half, and then I'll drill them out first, and then they'll get bent in half, and then they'll be ready to attach to the 8-inch stovepipe. So we've got the strips cut out and drilled. So we've got the strips cut out and drilled. I should have said this earlier, but I didn't. Always wear gloves when you're working with sheet metal. Like I said earlier, I'll show you my mistakes when I make them. I got 2 mistakes. As I started to drill, the bit hung up in the hole. This piece started whirling around the bit like a dummy. I grabbed it, or grabbed at it with no gloves on. I was thinking to myself, probably ought to be wearing gloves at this point, and I didn't. So I sliced myself pretty good on the fingers, no stitches. But I do carry a first aid kit. I know, I should have had gloves on. But hey, live and learn, and maybe this will help you not slice your fingers at your sugar shack. So, all right, so with these drilled, it's a pretty simple thing. We're just gonna bend them in half, and we're not gonna get too wild with it. We're gonna try to get it somewhere around, well, we're going to try to get this gap to be somewhere around an inch. If you can see there, pretty close. Close is going to be good enough. It's a work in progress. So I'm going to continue bending those, and then we'll come back when it's time to do the attaching the tabs to the 8-inch stovepipe. Okay, so I went ahead and did a test run before I went live in front of people and tried to show you how to do this, but got the bag O rivets. Got the pop rivet tool upside down. And so thinking back to my high school industrial arts class, I'm going to go ahead and put these tabs on. So the riveter through the hole in the stovepipe, through the hole in the pop, and then it's in place. So be rinse and repeat for the next 6 tabs. At that point, once I get all the tabs on, then it's going to be putting the 2 sections together. So bending this this 8-inch stovepipe back to round, and then putting the 6-inch pipe into round, and then seeing if this will work. This is just a concept, so it may work, it may not, but we'll come back at the next step. Okay, so now we'll see if we can get this pipe bent back into round. And if you never bent stovepipe, sometimes it goes very easy. Sometimes you look like a chicken trying to do a math problem. So we'll see if this will go easy or chicken math. But basically you just slide these in. There's a tab and a slot. Slides right into there, allegedly. Would help if I hadn't bent it out around, but I needed to. Okay, there we go. Okay, we have the 6-inch pipe, 8-inch pipe. 8-inch pipe has the tabs on them. They're all pointing the same way. So we're going to put the 6-inch pipe inside of the 8-inch pipe. It might work, it might not, it might make a horrible noise. Well, it worked and didn't make a horrible noise. So what you end up with is a pipe that has approximately a 1-inch air gap all the way around. I think it's going to work. So this, because I had the pop riveter and I had that galvanized sheet steel laying around, was a fairly inexpensive project. I priced out some double wall on Amazon and at Lowe's, and it was mighty spendy. So what I think I'll do, I did buy these. They're called stovepipe screws. They were a couple bucks for a pack of 10 or 20 or whatever. and we'll just drive them in with this little driver bit. So to kind of wrap it up and try to figure out total cost, I think that the 8-inch stovepipe was $11 or $12 at Lowe's, and the 6-inch stovepipe is usually cheaper, but I think I'll say for less than 20 bucks I made double-walled stovepipe. I wouldn't do this in my house. This is for the Sugar Shack. If this was my house, I would actually buy the proper double-walled, even though it's more expensive. But if you need a inexpensive way to make double-walled pipe for a Sugar Shack, this is it. So I hope this works. We'll see. And I hope you found this useful.